All right. So we're talking about the SAT reading test, and I said keep this thought in mind because when you think about the SAT reading test, you think about a set menu, and the set menu includes one literary passage. When you think about it, so the literary passage will always have 10 questions, and as you can see, the 10 questions will usually this literary passage will be the first passage, but not necessarily. And we know this passage is what we call fiction. So this passage is written by an American writer or a writer from a different country in the world. It could be a short story, it could be a novella, but of course not the whole short story, part of it, but again, maybe modified to have, you know, like a whole story. And then you have what we call social science. And this is going to be one passage again, okay? So let's write it here. One passage is going to be from the literature. Again, one passage, as you have noticed, going to be from social science. So social science is like anthropology, right? Is like, for example, political sciences, is like agriculture, okay? News reporting. So we call these social sciences. But then you need to keep in mind that this social science could be single or pair passage. So single passage or pair passage, and it could be 10 to 11 questions. And then you're going to have one passage, again, it's going to be history, and again, it could be single or pair, right? But remember, if the social science is pair, the other 4 passages will be single. I'm gonna tap into what I mean by single or pair. And then last but not least, you're gonna have 2 passages, right? And these from science, by science, like from chemistry, from biology, from space science, from physics, for example. Again, one of them will be single or pair, right? So keep in mind that this is a set menu. Nothing will come outside of this list. And as you can see, I have divided the passages into 2 categories, which is one passage will be fiction. Those passages, as you can see, are non-fiction, meaning they are based on true events, real people are talking, and that's why we call them non-fiction. يعني حاجة حقيقية. Fiction comes from the Latin root fict, which means unreal or imaginary. So you have fiction, you have fictitious, for example, fictional. All these words come from the Latin root fict, which means unreal or imaginary. And speaking of roots, prefixes and suffixes, earlier on, I guess in the first class, when we were talking about the vocabulary, I shared with you all my sets on Quizlet, but today I'm going to share with you another source for self-study. So today I'm going to focus on the fiction passage because it's the hardest passage. But remember, the techniques we're going to talk about when we tackle the passages, when we're going to practice today, are actually valid for other passages. You can use them in other passages, right? So that's what we're going to focus on.